Hi guys, welcome to the next video. Just a tip, you can always watch these videos at 1.5 times speed if you want to learn faster. Let's get to it. So in this video today, we're going to cover an introduction into AMPscript. So I'm sure you guys already heard what AMPscript is and what it kind of does for your email and SMS messages. This is more so a refresher, really understanding its true purpose in Salesforce Marketing Cloud so that you can understand the next component as to why we use AMPscript. Because, I don't want you to blindly just code. You're going to be working with teams. You're going to be working with marketers, with different, maybe if you're not an agency, you're working with different companies and different industries. I want you to think in the mind of a consultant here. So understand why we use it in the first place so that we can achieve the outcomes that we want to achieve for our team members. I'm going to take you through some common use cases. So this is very important because if you, for example, work in a company, you're kind of fixed within one industry. You don't have a library of resources where you can think back if someone asks you a question. Okay, in this scenario, maybe this method is better, or we can actually use this type of dynamic content or personalization to really drive engagement for this use case, right? If you're working at an agency, then that benefits you. You're working with different teams and different projects across different industries and different companies, right? But if you don't, I'm going to formulate a little bank for you, a little library of different use cases so that you understand and really know how AMPscript is and its potential so that you can offer that advice and consulting within your team. The final component here, that should be 04, but is how AMPscript works in SFMC, right? So now we know what AMPscript is, but how does it actually work? How do we play with the data that we have from our customers and actually output it in an email and SMS message? So yeah, let's get started. So, introduction to AMPscript. So I'm sure you guys have heard and you know what AMPscript is. It's a specific coding language made for Salesforce Marketing Cloud. The language itself, you unfortunately can't use it anywhere else. But it actually shares the same kind of concepts and properties of any other programming language out there. And it's a good introduction into becoming technical within a programming language because it does share those same concepts. The concept of a variable, storing values is all very similar. And it's my first introduction into programming language. So I think it's very good. It's very easy to learn and you can play with it within your emails and SMS messages. What it is used for really is to retrieve, manipulate, transform, and process data. So you can think about the data that you have from your customers. How can you retrieve that so you can show it in an email? But before you show it in an email, how can you manipulate and transform it? A great example is like your first name data, right? Not every record or not every customer will have a first name stored in a database. So how can you clean that up? How can you provide a default value to show in the communications? So how it's used. So the main purpose of this program really is to show you how AMPscript is used for dynamic content and personalized messages in your email and SMS comms. It's also used, in processing cloud pages. So I mentioned it earlier. I will teach that in the advanced AMPscript course. But if you have like a landing page, like some sort of survey or feedback form, you can actually use AMPscript to retrieve and validate that data, store it in data extensions, and even update objects in CRM. So why we learn AMPscript, I'm sure you guys all know why we want to learn AMPscript. That's why you're here. We want to upskill our career. AMPscript being a very niche language, not many people know it. A lot of professionals struggle with it. It's very difficult to understand with the current documentation and videos online. So my goal here in this program is to really show you how easy it is. And you can impress your managers at work, get your hands more practical and within the tool, doing some coding, and it's a lot of fun. So So here's some examples of what AMPscript can do for your email templates. Really, anything in an email template can be made dynamic using AMPscript. So not only, the hero titles, the hero images, but even the CTA labels, the links, the subject lines, the colors, maybe different types of products, all of that can be made dynamic using AMPscript. So AMPscript is very powerful here. As you can see, you can build one email template, but it has different variations based on the data of your customer. So it could be your preferences, your interests, your different locations or branches. You can imagine all the different things you can make dynamic. Even the logo in the header here can be made dynamic. This is probably another example. Oh, this is just another example image that I found online. You can have different offer heroes here to display to the customer based on their maybe previous interactions or histories or transactions. So you can think of all the different scenarios, right? Dynamic headers, dynamic links, it just makes it really powerful. Really drive engagement and conversions through click-throughs. Here's an example for an SMS message. So people actually don't know, but AMPscript can also be used in SMS messages within Content Builder. So obviously this is a lot easier than say for an email build, because you're not working with all these different types of content blocks, images, but really it is just copy, right? So you can have the first name, you can have discounts, URLs, expiry day, or even the whole SMS message can be made completely dynamic based on the data of your customers. Cool. So what does AMPscript actually look like? So this is just a preview of what you will be coding from scratch in the next videos. Don't worry if you don't understand this right now. I know it's confusing because I haven't taken you through it yet. But this is just what it looks like. So essentially we'll write something like this in a code snippet and we'll store it in an email template at the top or at the SMS message. And then it will retrieve the data that we need to retrieve, transform it so that we can display something that you'll see down here in the actual message. So don't worry about it. I just want to give you a preview of what it looks like. But this, after watching a few videos, you'll actually realize this is quite easy, and you'll understand it. So why do we use AMPscript? So this is something that's very important. I want you to understand the outcome of AMPscript, right? Like, why do we need to code something in AMPscript to achieve the outcome from the marketers or your teams or your managers, whatever the goals or KPIs they want to achieve? Why we use AMPscript for? The reason why we use AMPscript is so that we can personalize communications. We can tailor the content to the subscribers based on their data. Because if a message is more tailored, more personalized, it will boost their engagement and it increases relevancy, right? They see something that's more relevant to them. Oh, I like dogs. I see a picture of a dog there, and you can sell something or upsell something for that specific genre or category. So you use AMPscript for personalization, for dynamic content. You want to really improve your open rates, improve your click-through rates, and drive conversion. Automation is another strong use case for AMPscript. Think about, if you set up some sort of birthday campaign, right? Will you really want to create a birthday campaign for each month? January, February, March. That's going to be time consuming, right? So if you were to use AMPscript instead, in terms of the actual email template that is sent out to the customer, you can dynamically populate the month, welcome May babies or January babies, or celebrate your birthday this month in January with a discount code, So all that dynamic month or variables or dates you can actually display in an email as well. So you can automate that, build one email template that is catered to each month, and you kind of just don't have to worry about it, right? A lot of people today, a lot of companies I work with still build separate emails each month, every year, which is really time consuming. So this is just some more examples of really understanding why we use AMPscript. So on the left here, we have examples of subject lines without AMPscript. So, get ready for summer savings, our biggest sale of the year, this week's top book picks. So you kind of get the idea, right? It's very generic, not personalized at all. And if you read something like this, it could be interesting. But compared to what you see on the right with AMPscript, this is where it will really increase engagement, right? John, get ready for summer with deals just for you. Sarah, your favorite brands on sale today. Mike, discover books selected just for your taste. So yeah, AMPscript, you can retrieve the customer's first name data. If they don't have any first name, you can actually transform it, populate, provide a default value. For example, if say for the first one here, you don't have a first name, you can say, "Hi there, get ready for summer with deals just for you." So you can provide an alternative. But yeah, just reading the subject lines on the right, it's more, more catered, more tailored to you. And the idea is for subject lines is really to increase open rates, because this is the first thing your customer sees in the inbox, right? So the subject lines are very important. Here are some examples of hero images. On the left, without AMPscript, again, it's more generic, nothing really tailored to the customer's data. On the right is with AMPscript, so maybe they, in the past they've purchased suits for men, or in the past, they've purchased, summer clothing for women. Whatever it is, you can use AMPscript to make it dynamic. Cater or tailor the content to your customer rather than just providing a generic hero image. I mean, look at these. It's not really engaging to look at. And I guess this is pretty important because when you open an email, the hero image is essentially what you see first, above the fold, right? So the term above the fold is when you open an email, whether it's on your computer or on your phone, you only see a portion of the email, right? Maybe like the first kind of 30 or 40% or 50% of the email. So whatever is above the fold before they actually scroll is really important. You need to make sure that's engaging and tailored to your customer. This is just some more email content as well with AMPscript. So say, for example, you can display a generic, articles or categories or links within the email, or you can tailor the actual content block itself just for your customer. So if you know that your customer really likes buying type of like racing shoes or running shoes rather, you can tailor this specific content block to drive them onto the landing page so they can shop for other shoes, as opposed to this kind of generic sport, for example, content block in an email. They're recommended for you as well. That's something that you can create using AMPscript. So if they purchase a certain product, you can think in your database, you have product IDs, you can have affiliations. If people purchase this product, they're more likely to buy another product, or they normally buy products within this kind of group. You can recommend that, really drive a cross sale or an upsell with your customers because it's really tailored to the data, right? Again, increasing click rates. Cool. So now that we understand why we use AMPscript, the next section here is I really want to show you and give you a library of use cases, like I mentioned before, of the common use cases that you will see across different industries, different companies, and different scenarios, right? Again, these are just all examples. There's a ton more use cases out there. I just wanted to give you an idea so then you can store, this bank of knowledge, especially if you don't work at an agency, because you don't have that exposure to different businesses and different, industries, different type of marketing, so that you know the full potential of AMPscript, right? I'm trying to show you and teach you and coach you in terms of thinking as a consultant, so you know what you can do to improve your company's email and SMS messages. So I will share these slides with you as a resource link down below in the description. But here you can see, I probably won't go through in detail for every one of them, but I'll give you a description and some examples of what the columns will look like if you use AMPscript. So the first one's pretty common, the personalized greetings and content. Using AMPscript to retrieve the data to output an actual message is really important. So you can see that in subject lines, and in here, some SMS message examples. So, hi John, just a quick update. Your current account balance is $452.30. Reply help for more details or stop to unsubscribe. So, John here, John here is going to be a dynamic variable, the dynamic first name, and this current account balance as well. This will be something that's retrieved from your customer data, your data extension, right? So again, using AMPscript to populate that, really personalize the message. Here, birthday or anniversary messages. So this is, again, an example that I mentioned earlier. Imagine if you had to create, an SMS message or, email template for every single month of the year. That's ridiculous. You can automate that using AMPscript. So in the first example, happy birthday, Josh. May babies enjoy a 20% coupon for the next purchase. Or celebrate your anniversary with us, Mia. Your next pair of sneakers comes with 15% off. Because you know the interests of your customers, they really like sneakers, you can actually put that in the subject line. So for example, this next pair of sneakers, that can be like a dynamic component. So instead of next pair of sneakers, it could be, your next, shirt or hat or pair of socks, whatever it is, you can make that dynamic in the subject line itself, which is really powerful. I'll move my that there. Cool. The next one is location-based offers. So this is really interesting. So say, for example, you work at a company with multiple branches, right? Obviously, a customer will be, located within one specific branch, and you want to show or display that specific branch in your email subject lines or even in the email content, right? There's no point creating a separate email template for each of your branches, because I'm sure some companies have over 100 different branches across their country or even across the, multiple countries. So again, using AMPscript to drive that engagement based on the location of your customer. Join us at the Green Lion, Denver for an exclusive craft beer tasting. Obviously, the Green Lion, Denver, this is probably a specific restaurant or pub in Denver that you probably send out to a customer located around that region. And you can soon to realize that, it really depends on the data you have for the customer. So if you know that the customer is within this location, then you can send this type of communication. If not, then you have to think about a default, right? Because if you don't have that data, then what are you going to show? Maybe it's a more generic subject line or generic content. So it's up to you guys. Loyalty program updates. So this one's probably more common. Companies nowadays will have some sort of loyalty program, and you can output whatever details or data you have in that loyalty program. So, balance points, loyalty tier is something that's very powerful. So, hi Sam, you've earned 250 loyalty points at the Dockside Grill. So even that, the venue or the location or the property that they've earned the loyalty points from, you can display, right? Redeem them this weekend for a free appetizer. Enjoy your perks. Or cheers Lisa as a gold member at Tiki Island Bar. Your next cocktail's on us, right? So these are SMS message examples. Abandoned cart reminders. So this one's very useful as well. It really depends, I guess, all these use cases, you do really need to work with your markets to see what they want and whether it conflicts with their brand. But yeah, imagine SMS messages when you have an abandoned cart reminder. You browse something online, you add something to a cart, but then you leave it and you get an SMS message. Hey Jenna, you left a stylish blue denim jacket in your cart. Grab it now and get 10% off with a code SAVE10, only a few left. And you can actually dynamically insert a URL so that they can click on that URL and navigate to a page where they have all their items in the cart. So it's very easy, right? You don't have to just do this in an SMS message. You can do it in email message as well. But I just want to show you the different types of use cases. So it's very powerful here, right? You can see the potential. Looks like you forgot something, Mark, your Sony headphones. Wow. So even, outputting the actual product name from the abandoned cart in the actual message is really powerful as well. Time-sensitive alerts. So using AMPscript to manage and personalize time-sensitive alerts like shipping notifications, appointment reminders, or urgent updates that require immediate attention to the subscriber. So, an example, action required, your subscription expires tomorrow, renew now to stay connected. Or package update, your order's on its way, track your shipment inside. Or even this one, this is probably more to your use case. Reminder, your dental appointment is this Thursday at 3 p.m. Confirm your visit. So this Thursday at 3 p.m., this will be a dynamic variable, right? Because everyone will have a different appointment. Again, you don't want to create a different SMS message for each appointment, right? So this is a dynamic variable that you'll pull in. Cool. For these types of use cases, maybe you create one email template and the whole template is dynamic. That way, you might have a static package update, but your order's on its way, or your order just has been shipped, or your order has just been delivered. This would be a dynamic component. Product recommendations. So again, you saw earlier that the products that you want to recommend in the actual email itself can be driven by AMPscript. Because if you think about the data, you have the product ID, you know what other customers have been purchasing together, maybe in the entire cart, and you can offer kind of some relevant products or recommended products that more likely will be suited to the product that a customer previously purchased. So if they purchase a bag, you can upsell them, maybe slides, a hat, or so forth. So it's really up to you. You can build that recommendation logic with the marketer. Subscription renewals and expiry notices. Again, you're playing with dates. Every date will be different for a customer. Every duration of the membership, that can be made dynamic. Event-driven triggers. So thank you for registering at this specific webinar or this specific event. That event, variable is dynamic. What else is there? Yeah, same thing, very similar, right? After they complete a survey or download a specific PDF, you can make that dynamic there. Dynamic content, again, something very similar. Your email images, your titles, your links, your CTA buttons, all can be made dynamic using AMPscript. So I think hopefully that gave you a good idea of all the different types of use cases you can do with AMPscript. Oh, I went backwards. There we go. So that you can kind of form that library bank in your head. So the next time a marketer or your manager comes to you and asks, okay, we want to do something like this. I want to increase, click rates or open rates. I have like 2 different types of ideas of content. One catered to this type of group, one catered to this other type of group. Then you can think of your head what the best way is, right? You can dynamically display the venue, the property, the tiers, the points, really drive that relevancy to increase engagement. Cool. So moving on to the next one here is how AMPscript works in SFMC. So now we understand what AMPscript is, why we use AMPscript, how does it actually work in Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So to explain that to you, I want to show you the standard campaign process. So some of you might be familiar if you're already in a role where you're kind of in this campaign operation type of role where you're building the emails and executing, you'll be familiar with this whole end-to-end process. If you're not, or you're interested into getting into this space, then have a look at this slide. So the standard campaign process normally starts with the campaign brief on the left here. So if you're working with a marketer will formulate this brief. It will define the target audience in terms of like who they want to send this message to. They'll provide requirements for the journey. It could be multiple email series or SMS messages. And they'll specify the content, the dynamic elements, and the personalization for the email SMS. So they give you all the assets, maybe for the email, they give you the copy, everything in this brief, and they normally give this brief to you. So once you receive this brief, obviously you're going to go back and forth and make sure you align your understanding and objectives for that specific campaign. The next section here is the audience prep. So normally this probably is done by another team member that's in the developer space, or sometimes it's done by you. It really depends on the role. But in this audience prep, you'll be essentially creating the data extension that you'll be using for your email send. So it's your sending data extension. And to populate that, you might be using filter data extensions based on the audience criteria, or you use SQL in Automation Studio. The third section is the content creation. So once you have your audience, then you actually create your email or SMS message. So you go into Content Builder or Email Studio, drag in your template, drag in your content blocks, build out the actual copy, insert the images, and actually insert the AMPscript. So this is really the middle section here is where you play around with AMPscript, because now that you have your data, you want to retrieve that data and display it and make it dynamic within the email template or SMS message. Testing here is obviously really important. Once you play around with scripting and AMPscript, you want to see if it actually displays correctly based on the data of the customer. So you'll be working back and forth with the marketer as well to ensure everything's approved. And then you go through the deployment. So that's the whole kind of campaign process. And where AMPscript fits in the picture is really in the content creation section, because that's where you actually physically insert the code in the template or the SMS to build out your dynamic and personalization components. But really, you probably can guess it's not really just focused here. It's actually focused in the middle three, because AMPscript is kind of useless without data, right? And with AMPscript, you're playing with the data in your data extension. So you want to populate, you want to retrieve, you want to transform, you want to reformat. All that stuff depends on the data in the audience prep. So I guess whether you're working with a developer or building the audience yourself, you'll be working closely with them to really understand the data. Because imagine if you're looking at the data extension and you see some inconsistencies, that's when you question, okay, is this meant to be displaying, XYZ? Should it have a comma? Should it have a capital? Like, this is where you really align. And if it doesn't, then you can transform that with AMPscript. In terms of content creation, so this is a typical email template that you will see in Content Builder or in Email Studio. Most of the time, it's not in full HTML anymore. It will be built in different content blocks. The idea is that the company will have a library of different types of content blocks, and based on the brief, you will drag which content blocks work. So when I say content block, I'm talking about these individual blocks here. So it's an image block, an article block, a footer block. You kind of drag and drop it and formulate your email template. So you'll be playing around with this, and to see the whole picture, the audience prep will produce a data extension with all the fields that you can play with. So member number, first name, loyalty tier, tier discounts. You have your email template here that you want to retrieve that data, right? So AMPscript kind of fits into this picture. We're retrieving whatever data we have in the sending data extension to display in the email or to make the email dynamic. So you can imagine we can make certain content blocks dynamic based on the loyalty tier. We can display the tier discounts, display the tier balance points. And obviously the testing, this is important. This whole section here, you're going back and forth ensuring everything's approved, everything's working as expected based on the data of your customer. Later on in the course, you actually don't just play with the data in your sending data extension. You can actually retrieve data from multiple data extensions. So this is something that I'll show you in week 4, and something that's actually common because not all data fields are stored in your sending data extension, right? Say for example, you have a kind of company where they have multiple branches and you want to display the branch's specific address or specific kind of social media links in an email. You don't expect that type of data for that specific location or property or venue to exist in the actual sending data extension, which is more on a customer level, right? You can, but most cases you don't. So then that's when you retrieve all that information like your social media links for specific properties or the address in a separate property data extension. So there's a connection there. We find the link and then we can retrieve the data in these data extensions. So you can think, transaction DEs, product DEs, you won't have all the details for a specific product, right? You might have the product ID in the sending DE, but you won't have the name, the link, the images, the price, the stock. All that will be stored elsewhere. Cool. So I guess that's pretty much it. This is the summary. So why we use AMPscript. If you really understand this, it will help you become a better consultant, because at the end of the day, we want to drive engagement and drive conversions. And we do that by tailoring the content to your customer, personalizing the content, creating dynamic content will help with the user interactions, right? And you can also automate the delivery, like the birthday campaigns or the event triggers or the loyalty tier comms, really automate it, right? The common use cases, I guess, mastering AMPscript not only equips you with the actual coding skill set, but to provide informed consultancy, right? Optimizing the strategies across different use cases will help you within your marketing team and really upskill your level and your career in the Salesforce industry. Because when you move on to different jobs, work with different people, you have all this experience, you have all this knowledge that you can offer. And finally, how AMPscript works. It all comes to the data, really. The data, the structure, the fields, that's the most important. And even the relationships between different data extensions, like I showed you in the previous slide. Once you really understand that, then you can use AMPscript, to its full potential, really. You understand the data, you know how to play with it, you can code anything in AMPscript. So that's pretty much it, guys. This is just a reminder. So if you like my content, you can also check out @vincodes on my YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. There, I'll provide exclusive content like my day in the life videos as a Salesforce Marketing Cloud consultant. I show you some office shenanigans, tips and tricks, videos from my AMPscript Academy program. So yeah, check it out. Of course, if you guys can share the program to your colleagues, to other people that you might know that want to learn AMPscript or learn Salesforce Marketing Cloud in general, will be very much appreciated. I want to build this strong community, so let's build it together, help each other out, inspire others, learn from others, and yeah, can't wait to see how this grows. And if you haven't already, please leave a testimonial. It really helped me out and helped build the community out. I'm sure other people will love to hear your stories, your learning experience, your journey throughout this whole process. So if you can leave a testimonial, you also have a chance to win a special prize. So thank you. And that's it, guys. See you in the next one.